Welcome to Bamfordrose and it's question of the week time. Before we get into this week's question of the week, it really helps us if you can subscribe to our channel, click us a like and give us your comments and feedback on this week's question of the week. What amount of misfire is okay to run with on a V12 Aston? The answer should be absolutely zero, because any amount of misfire puts at risk that primary catalyst, and anyone who watches this channel knows only too well what the risk is there. Now, to anyone in the independent Aston world who knows how to use AMDS, they'll likely give you the same answer as me, where if you see misfire counting up on a particular cylinder when you look at the real-time misfire monitor, then this is an issue that needs fixing. This question only gets asked because of the stupidity of the franchise dealer network, who would probably be all over this problem like a rash if it was a car that was in for service or repair. But because it's a car that's just been purchased, then they avoid it like the plague. Because this example is one of those examples where the problem straddles a car having a problem at point of sale and a car having a problem post-sale and claimed for under warranty. Now, the reason it straddles those two categories is because the problem that it's got isn't resulting in a breakdown. It's not actually putting the check engine light on, but in reality it is a problem, and this particular car was sold with this particular problem. So the car in question was a beautiful DBS manual, and to be fair, it was prepared to a really high standard. Good paint, good interior, good service history. You know, on the surface, nothing was wrong with this car. The owner is savvy to the Aston world. He's had a few Astons before, working his way up the ladder from V8 to DBS, and is a regular content viewer, subscriber to this channel, so knows all of the advice given when purchasing new car, which is we always recommend purchasing from the approved used network, not because that gets you any better car at point of sale because it's been prepared any better than any other car, because in reality it hasn't, but we're hoping that more formal warranty care and cover that you should get from a more corporate, more serious place like an Aston dealer means that if you should encounter any niggles post-purchase, it gets dealt with straight away. Now, I don't think there's any reason to do a pre-purchase inspection if the car is coming from franchise dealer. This is because any particular buyer can check out the paint condition and the interior condition themselves, look at tyre wear, you know, peer through, have a look at brake pads, all of that stuff that is apparent anyone can do. If we were to stick the car up on a ramp and do a pre-purchase inspection, then we're going to look for oil leaks, aircon leaks, all that sort of thing. But if there were any of those apparent immediately after purchase, when we do a post-purchase inspection, then it should be quite easy to picture those and return the car fundamentally not being fit for purpose. And whether it was the warranty or whether it was coming out the bottom line of the selling dealer, then those niggles should sort themselves out. The most important thing to check for on pre-purchase inspection is going to be misfire, is there any, condition of the carbon ceramic brakes, and if it was sport shift, wear state of the clutch. Now, I do advise everyone to craft a little sentence on each one of those along the lines of, if you connect the AMDS laptop, are there any misfire counts present? Then a question about the carbon ceramic brakes. Is there enough pad wear remaining? Are the discs and mirror like to touch? Is there any evidence of the anodized bell deteriorating, being subjected to too much abrasive acidy type wheel cleaners? And then on the clutch, simply, what is the clutch wear statistic? So many times I've heard from customers that those answers have been given verbal on a telephone call, and you really do need them written down. Somehow they manage to work their charm on you by giving you a bit of a verbal spiel about each one, and you think that is good enough. When this particular customer wrote to the franchise dealer and said, can you give me a comment on the misfire monitor and the other questions that were asked, the response back was, the car has undergone a 140-point pre-sales check. That check is more or less, I would deem, a strict MOT. Certainly isn't going to go delving for problems like we would do on a pre or post purchase inspection. So this car, when it came for its post purchase inspection, literally on the way back from the franchise dealer, it was all absolutely 100% tip top perfect. apart from a slight bit of misfire. So here's a picture of the real-time misfire monitor run on this car for probably about 5 minutes. And as we can see, there's quite a few misfire counts building up on cylinders 1, 2, 7 and 9. Obviously cylinders 4, 5, 6 and 8 show nothing, and I'd say cylinders 3, 10, 11 and 12 show normal amount of probably erroneous misfire count up, and isn't something I'd be worried about. But as soon as I plugged into this car, I would be worried for cylinders 1, 2, 7 and 9. So if that level of misfire was from a car that came here for service, I would be saying that that car needs plugs and coils pretty much immediately. I wouldn't really be risking that level of misfire not damaging the primary catalyst. You'd have thought that some knowledge of Aston's inside a workshop and a customer presenting the supplying dealer with that picture of misfire would have been enough to trigger spark plugs and coil under warranty. But no, you see, this is the problem. This would now be covered by the warranty policy, but the warranty policy is there to fix a breakdown or a problem. Well, this car hasn't broken down yet anyway. The emissions light isn't on, so technically it isn't broken down. The extended warranty policy isn't going to cover a fix for this car. The only fix for this car is going to come out of the bottom line of the dealer's own pocket. So what do you expect was the reply back from the dealer? Was it, "I'm very sorry sir, bring your car back to us and we'll put it right in an instant"? Or was it this response that I'm just about to read out to you now? "Low level misfires across the cylinders is normal on these engines. Didn't you know? The engine control module monitors and records misfires and will usually show a small number on most cylinders when checked. Anything above the expected tolerance will trigger an emission system service message on the instrument cluster and log any relevant fault codes. I would not expect anything below that threshold to cause any harms to the engine or cats. I can't actually recall the last time we had to replace cats on these cars, so it's something we don't tend to consider a major concern." That's quite a laughable response, isn't it? Well, I've never actually had one of my own customers catapult his cats and ingest them into the engine. That's because at point of service, any low-level misfires before they turn into a major or a consequence causing misfire has been alerted, and pre-failure preventative maintenance, the correct actions are taken. I can't actually recall the last time cats failed. What, so you're saying that they have failed, so you know what the cause of the failure is, and isn't that staring you in the face here? And the comment that low-level misfires is normal. Here's a pic showing the misfire monitor running. You can see that the engine's running there at 761 RPM. And yeah, you've got cylinders 9 and 10 there that have maybe logged one misfire, but that is what a normal engine running looks like. If we just flip back to the misfire monitor of this car, you can see that that is a completely different picture. And this is one of the problems, and what we have to remember here is that the error light on the dashboard doesn't come on to register misfire until misfire events have gone above a particular threshold, a certain amount of misfires in a certain amount of cycles. That threshold is determined by legislation. So the automaker is going to want to put the light on at that threshold and definitely doesn't want to put it on for any misfires under that threshold. So that dashboard cluster light that that dealer refers to isn't a helpful friend to tell you when you have a problem. It's simply telling you that the car's emissions output is now going to be different compared to the standard that the automaker homologated at, and as far as legislation is concerned, the car has a problem. But below misfires of that magnitude, the car is still being put at risk of a problem. In this case, it's the primary cat failing from all that unburnt fuel that goes and rests on the face of it and then self-combusts. It's just that that level of misfire isn't enough to trigger the error against legislation. And hence you get the complete fob off story in that email that I just read out to you. Now, as consumers, as drivers of these cars, we're not really interested who picks up the bill. You know, you've just spent tens of thousands of pounds on a car and it should be fault free. If pre-sales it was a genuine case that they never spotted that this car was misfiring, then it's the warranty policy that should pay for it. If the warranty policy is written in such a way that it only fixes breakdown and they determine a breakdown from the illumination of a lamp, well, that's their problem really. You know, we've just paid tens of thousands for a car that is faulty and it needs fixing. If that illumination of the light was the simple yes, no to getting a claim done under warranty, then it's their policy that needs to change. If it's not their policy that changes, then it needs to be the buying habits. Because the only reason that we're recommended the franchise dealer route so much is because problems like these should get fixed in warranty. Not settling for that fob off from the dealer, and with a little bit of help from a few paragraphs written by me, he sent off an email to the dealer, and the dealer came back firstly trying to suggest that they need to check the calibration of the misfire monitor. As in a lot of these cases, when you start to get the fob off, they're either being disingenuous or they really don't know what they're talking about. If that misfire monitor is working, it actually means that it's calibrated. I'm sure they know that. And then in his own unscientific way, the dealer is trying to suggest that a certain amount of misfires in a certain amount of engine cycles is actually okay. If we go back to the first email that they sent, saying that they can't actually remember the last time a set of primary cats failed due to misfire, then that isn't the person that you want performing the investigation saying that a certain amount of misfires is okay to run with. If we remind ourselves of a question of the week a few weeks back, this is of someone who actually experienced catalyst failure on a V12 engine, and he did have extended warranty. In that video I mentioned that the dealer said the primary catalyst wasn't included under warranty. You know, on a V12 engine, that's probably one of the biggest things you want covered on a warranty. So if that's the case and the dealers know that the extended warranty policy isn't covering a primary catalyst if it failed, makes you ask yourself the question, are they really incentivized to do everything they can to prevent that catalyst from failing? There's an obvious answer to that question. Now, because the engine is one of the biggest, single most expensive components that we want a warranty to cover, then if this type of response is normal across the network, then this is quite worrying. Parts and labour, we're talking about 1,500 quid's worth of work here, with the consequence of catalyst failure and the damage. If it needs a new engine, the cost to repair is 10 times that. I was hoping that warranty watch wasn't going to turn into a regular thing, but it looks like it. So let's keep your warranty watch analysis emails coming to me, and we'll see you on the next question of the week.